What's happening, everybody? So this is going to be part 1.5, if you will, for that sway bar installation on the Hellcat. And what I'm doing is I'm installing a Scat Pack sway bar on the Hellcat to save a little bit of weight. But what I wanted to bring to you guys was the bushings and talk specifically about the bushings and show you guys why this may be a little bit different than what you might be used to if you've installed sway bars before with like a polyurethane bushing. So what I wanted to show you is this. These have kind of a unique split in them, that kind of a parrot beak look. If you notice, these have a red paint stripe on them. They're actually labeled as red on the body of the bushing itself. It won't show up on camera. And it's also got the part number listed on here. And for you guys that need it, that part number is 682-36944AA. And you'll notice that these things are, you have a little pink dot on the right hand side with this parrot beak facing down. You'll also notice again that oblong shape. The reason for that in these applications is these ridges fit into ridges that are on the actual cradle itself and lock this thing in place so that the bushing doesn't move around. Also, you'll notice some fuzz in here. There's kind of a low friction material, if that will show up, kind of a low friction cloth in there. But one thing I wanted to discuss with you guys is how to install this in the car. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to be installing these with the parrot beak, basically, if you will, facing down. And the reason for that is if you notice the actual parting line, the seam is what you would consider to be right in the middle, almost a little bit north of being in the middle there on the side. And when this is clamped down, that bar, when this thing gets a lot of tension, that bar is going to be pressing on this part of that bushing. If you flip that upside down, you would see that it might be pressing on that seam. So I'm going to try to keep it away from that seam, and to do so, you flip it around this way. When I took the stock sway bar out, one of these was like this, and it almost looked like it had torn up part of that bushing a little bit more. And again, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to face it with that beak down and also with the beak facing the back, so that when the clamp goes around it, it's going to clamp it from the back. And that's also how the shop drawing shows the installation. There's really nothing to show you that you need to grease this a certain amount or install it a certain way, clocked this way or the other. It doesn't really show that. The actual shop drawing shows the seam going to the back. So the back clamp that you're actually bolting onto the cradle, showing that to be the seam side towards that clamp. But really, there's nothing else in there to show. And this is kind of a unique thing, so I figured I would share that with you guys. Not that big of a deal. You'll see other install videos, I'm sure, where guys are just taking these things, slapping them on, throwing them in the car and calling it good. I've actually put a little bit of thought into this and wanted to share it with you. I am going to grease these up very, very, very lightly. Again, no provision. Nobody's showing, how much or which grease. Just use the synthetic grease. Again, real light coat of grease. Pop them on with the beak facing down and to the back, and I think that's going to do you just fine. So anyway, I hope that helps you out. Again, this is version 1.5. I'll give you guys a heads up with the driving impressions as soon as I get this thing on the road. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Y'all have a great one. Adios.